Welcome to the DAVE User Guide for Connecticut. DAVE stands for Database Application for Vital Events. While the most recent version of Microsoft's Internet Explorer is recommended, DAVE also supports the use of Mozilla Firefox and Chrome browsers. As a general rule, do not use the browser's back button while working in the DAVETM application. This could result in the loss of data. In this lesson, you will learn how to use the personal information pages of the DAVE application to start or edit a new death record. Navigate to the DAVE login page. Enter the username and temporary password assigned by the system administrator. Your system administrator will provide you with a temporary password that will enable you to log into the DAVE system. If the user logging in is associated with more than one office or location, a list of available offices will be presented. Select the desired office. Your password must be changed when you log in for the first time. Next, select the Login button. You should now be logged into the DAVE application main menu page with the fast links displayed. After logging in for the first time, your password must be changed. Passwords must be at least 8 characters in length and can be a combination of letters, numbers, uppercase, and lowercase characters. You cannot reuse a previous password. You will now learn how to start or edit a new death record. To start or edit a record, you can go to the main menu, select Live Events, select Death, then select Start Edit New Case. You can also select the fast link labeled Death, Start, Edit New Case. This will bring up the Start, Edit New Case page. Notice that first, last, date of death, and sex are all marked with red arrows. Fields with a red arrow next to them are required entries and must be completed before you will be allowed to perform a search. Fill in each of the fields with a red arrow next to them. In addition to manual date entry, you can also click on the calendar icon next to a date entry box to bring up a calendar control. By default, the current month, day and year are pre-selected. As with all drop-down lists, clicking on the down arrow next to the month or year will reveal all the items in the list. In addition to manually dropping down the list, we can just type the first letter of the month we are interested in, or use the up and down arrows on the keyboard to scroll through the list until we find the month we want to select. Once we have selected the correct month and year, clicking on the day of the month will auto-populate the date for us. Drop-downs provide predefined lists of values, eliminating the need to manually key data. Select the down arrow icon to display a list of selectable options. The value selected is passed to the text box field. Before you will be allowed to create a new death record, you must first search for an existing file. This is to prevent the creation of duplicate death files. Once you have filled in the required items, click the search button to proceed, or, if you need to, click on the clear button to clear all entries and start over. If this is a new case, and there are no cases that match the criteria you have entered, select the Start New Case button to proceed. You may also select the New Search button to perform a new search. The first page of items to enter under the Personal Information submenu is the decedent page. Enter the first, middle, and last name of the decedent. Suffix is used to record generational suffixes such as junior, 3, etc. Decedent's name prior to first marriage, enter the last name of the decedent at birth. Only if marriage has caused the decedent to change their last name. Aliases, if the decedent was known by more than one name, select Add Edit Alias Names. The aliases pop-up will display. To add a new name, select the New Alias button. Social Security number. Enter the decedent's Social Security number in the Social Security number field. If decedent has no SSN, select None. If the decedent's SSN is not known, select Unknown. Date of birth and age. Enter the date of birth manually or select the calendar icon to launch the interactive calendar. Enter the decedent's age at time of death manually, or use the auto-populate icon to calculate the age entered in the date of birth field. If the decedent was under 1 year old at the time of death, leave the age field empty, and fill in the months and days. If decedent was under 1 day old at the time of death, then fill in the hours and minutes fields. Verify SSN. Upon completion of the decedent name, SSN and date of birth, the Verify SSN link enables. When selected, the DAVE application establishes a connection with the Social Security Administration and verifies the SSN against information in their database. When the Verify SSN link is activated, the decedent page will refresh and SSN verification status will change from unverified, 0, to pending, 0, message displayed. This indicates communication has been initiated with SSA. Once the SSN verification results are known, the appropriate message will display. Decedent's birthplace. Enter the decedent's place of birth. If needed, the Places lookup icon can be used to allow selection of the correct city, county, state and country from a list. The system also includes a predictive text feature that attempts to determine the place being entered while typing. Possible matches for city, county, state or country will be displayed. Armed Forces. Select the appropriate answer regarding U.S. military service. Once the decedent page is complete, select a navigation button at the bottom of the page. During completion of the personal information pages, the user may select the Validate Page button found at the bottom of each registration page. Upon validation, the individual pages within the registration menu are given a color-coded symbol to identify those with pages with edit rules to review. Pages marked with a green check mark means that page has passed all of the edit rules. Pages marked with a yellow dot means soft edits have been triggered for review. Pages marked with a red X means that a hard edit has been triggered. Selection of the next button will save the data entered and proceed to the next page. The resident address page items to enter record the decedent's last known address. Street address. The components of the street address are the street number, pre-directional, street name, street designator, post-directional and apartment suite. The street designator and the pre- and post-directionals can be selected from a drop-down list. If needed, the Places lookup icon can be used to allow selection of the correct city, county, state and country from a list. The system also includes a predictive text feature that attempts to determine the place being entered while typing. Possible matches for city, county, state or country will be displayed. Inside city limits, make a selection from the Inside City Limits drop-down list to indicate whether or not the decedent's last known address was within city limits. A selection of unknown is available in the list. Once the resident address page is complete, select a navigation button at the bottom of the page. The Family Members page items to enter collects the first, middle and last names of the decedent's parents and spouse name information, if applicable. First and last name fields are required. Middle can either be middle name or middle initial. Marital status, make a selection from the marital status drop-down. If unknown, select unknown. Surviving spouse's name, this field is completed if the decedent has a surviving spouse. The last name before first marriage of the surviving spouse should be entered in the last name field. Father parent's name, the decedent's father parent's name should be entered here. Mother parent's name, the decedent's mother parent's maiden name should be entered here. Once the Family Members page is complete, select a navigation button at the bottom of the page. Selection of the next button will save the data entered and proceed to the next page. The Informant page. Items to enter are designed to gather information about the person reporting the death. This may be a spouse, family member, or someone who is not related to the decedent. Informant name, enter informant's first, middle, last name and suffix. First and last name are required fields. Middle can either be middle name or middle initial. Relationship to decedent, select the informant's relationship to the decedent. If not listed, choose Other, specify, and enter the relationship in the other specified field. Address, enter the informant's address. If needed, the Places lookup icon can be used to allow selection of the correct city, county, state and country from a list. Again, the system includes a predictive text feature that attempts to determine the place being entered while typing. Possible matches for city, county, state or country will be displayed. Once the Family Members page is complete, select a navigation button at the bottom of the page. The Disposition page items to enter records the disposition details including the method, date, first and secondary place and facility responsible. Method of disposition, make a selection from the Method of Disposition drop-down list. If the method does not appear in the list, then Other can be selected and a method of disposition can be specified in the Other Specify text entry box. Place of disposition. The place of disposition can be entered manually, or the lookup icon can be used to launch the lookup place of disposition search tool. Place of disposition. The place of disposition can be entered manually, or the lookup icon can be used to launch the lookup place of disposition search tool. The place of disposition lookup filters results based on the selection made from the method of disposition drop-down. For example, if method selected is burial, the lookup will include a list of cemeteries. If cremation, a list of crematories, etc. If a funeral director is entering the record, the funeral director name and funeral home sections of the disposition page will be system filled at the start of the record. These fields will display the name of the funeral director user who started the record and the funeral home the user is logged in at. If necessary, the funeral director name can be changed, but only to another funeral director within the same funeral facility. Decedent was embalmed? This field must be completed. Select Yes from the Decedent was embalmed drop-down if the decedent was embalmed. Else select No. If Yes is selected from the Decedent was embalmed drop-down, then the disposition page will display fields to collect embalmer information. Funeral Director is embalmer. Select this checkbox if the listed funeral director also acted as the embalmer of the decedent. Once selected, the embalmer information will be auto-completed. Once the disposition page is complete, select a navigation button at the bottom of the page. The decedent attributes page items to enter collect information pertaining to the decedent's occupation, education, ancestry and race. This information is vital to other state and federal agencies and can impact funding for various programs. Therefore, it is crucial the information collected be as accurate as possible. In the first two fields, enter the decedent's occupation and decedent's industry. Select decedent's education level from the drop-down list. If not known, select Unknown. Hispanic origin, select a value which indicates the decedent's Hispanic origin. More than one value can be selected. Decedent's race, select a value which indicates the decedent's race. More than one value can be selected. Once the decedent attributes page is complete, the personal information section of the death record is also complete. Select a navigation button at the bottom of the page. Selection of the next button will save the data entered. Other options include selection of the Validate Page button to check the page for errors, the Clear button to clear all entries since the last save, the Save button to save changes without leaving the page, or the Return button to return to the previous. To find a case you have previously saved, or not yet completed, you can search for it in the Queue menu. To find a case you have previously saved, or not yet completed, you can search for it in the Queue menu. The Queue menu lists queue names, the type of records in each queue, case count and age of the oldest case within each. Upon selection, the Search by Registration Where Queue page opens displaying a list of all records within the selected queue. If a queue does not contain cases, it will not be displayed. If a user does not have security access to a specific queue, it will not be displayed. Locate and open the record you require. A death record may only be submitted for registration after the personal and medical information has been completed and validated. The validation process is intended to show the user any outstanding issues with entries they have made and allow them to make corrections. In some cases, corrections are not needed and the user will instead follow a process to affirmatively submit the items as they were entered. Select a page to review in which soft or hard edits have been triggered. The validation results table, found at the bottom of the page, provides information on what edit rules failed and how they may be corrected. Go to Field option. From either the Validate Registration page or the individual validation results table, select the Fix icon in the Go to Field column. The date page containing the error will be displayed and place the cursor in the field requiring correction. Validation pop-up option. To use this method of error correction, select the Fix icon in the pop-up column. Dave will then provide a validation pop-up which displays the validation error message and the field or fields in need of correction. Override validation edit checks. The edit rule validation process produces two types of validation failures to review. Hard edit errors. These errors are triggered for item entries that must be corrected before the record can be submitted for registration. Fields containing hard edit rule failures are highlighted in red. The validation results table will not provide an option for overriding or bypassing hard edit rule failures. Soft edit errors. These errors are triggered for item entries that may be submitted as is for registration but must first be overridden. Fields containing soft edit rule failures are highlighted in yellow. The validation results table provides a mechanism that allows users to override soft edit rule failures. It is good practice to log out of the DAV system whenever you step away from your desk or workstation. There are two ways to log out of DAV. Select the Logout button from the main menu bar. Select Main and log out. Thank you. That concludes this lesson on starting or editing new death cases.